Today I want to talk about mind training. More realistically, the new social media, regardless of which platform it on. So I just keep filming content today and have been most of the day, mainly because I'm still trying to figure out what kind of content I even really want to deal with. But I think that there just needs to be some discussion around social media and all of the things happening in our world, because I think we're dealing with some chaos. Now, I'm not really talking about news. I'm not the news, but I do have a lot to say about these things. So much that it's going to take 2 videos to get it all out. Congrats. So let's talk about the social media thing. And when I say this stuff, look, I am not the news, but I do vet things the best that I can in a world that that's getting even harder to find real information. So if I make a mistake, it is not intentional. And the reason that I am talking about this stuff has absolutely nothing to do with politics. This is 100% about just explaining the facts so that maybe we can get facts easier. Now, I'm not even sure we can do that. I don't know. But this is what it is. I have a background in digital and social media, and I know a lot about social and digital platforms, and I know my way around an algorithm. Now, that also goes with saying that I do not know anything about TikTok. I can't do TikTok to save my life, so do not even ask me. But everything else, I got a pretty good little handle on it. What I've learned and realized and really checked into in great detail is that we are not currently receiving the information that we think we're receiving. It's kind of weird to say. For years now, we've talked about fake news. We know there are Zuckerbergs out there. We know what's been going on with Elon Musk and X. Rest in peace, Twitter. My fave. You're just not getting the information that you think you are getting. And I don't think that a lot of people even realize that. So this is why we're talking about it. Now, here's how I want to explain this, because I think it'll make sense. The platforms that we're on now are massively different from everything that came before. Now, this is an incredibly key point. When Facebook first came out, everyone on the planet who consumed information had to seek it out. Does that make sense? You went and you picked up a newspaper and you found articles. You flipped on the television and changed the channel. You turned on the radio and listened to the show. You sought information. But then Facebook arrived and our whole world's opened up. Soon after, and for the first time ever, the information found you. You didn't seek it. It found you. Now, let's think about that for just a moment and let it sink in. This is huge. It is so big and monumental in the whole grand scheme of things. And I don't think a lot of people have any clue that that is exactly what changed in our worlds. That is a complete behavioral change. It's not just a new habit, a new way of consuming news information. I mean, we haven't sought out news in 20 years. 20 years, since 2006. Now, since then, these platforms have been learning how to market things to you, and they do really well. They've started learning how to tell computers what content to serve you, what content you prefer to see, prefer to consume, and realistically, that you will buy or spend money on. Social media has one job: share content to every individual for the sole purpose of staying on the platform. Now, in a nutshell, it's called consumption, but there's a lot greater cost than you know. There is a transaction for every touch. You aren't just reading. You're actively participating in some kind of marketing scheme that has been designed only to keep you scrolling. Now, that's another conversation. I digress. We'll talk about that soon. Now, this shift from us seeking out news and information to information coming to us changed a lot of things. It changed our entire world. And possibly, it's the biggest shift to ever happen in media. It opened up educational channels that never existed. It spread news further, faster than anything we were used to. It gave us an opportunity to share our beliefs and our opinions with a large audience, scrolling from anywhere on the planet. It gave each of us a lot of power. But it also gave big tech and corporations lots of power too. In that time, which was a long time ago, 20 years in the making to now, they've spent years modifying the content and the mechanism for finding you, for talking to you, and for selling to you. And I just don't think that's a secret to anyone, right? I mean, most of us know we're being targeted. And as an example, like, lean down into your iPhone and say something that you want to know more about. You are going to get served ads and content about that subject immediately. It's kind of a joke at this point, but it's not funny. I actually had a good friend pick up my phone from the table at happy hour and lean down to tell it something and then said to me, "You'll get ads by this evening. You won't even have to look." Do you notice that when you scroll? Now, none of that is great, but that's actually transactional data for the most part. And that's the platform really just wanting you to see more ads disguised as content. The longer you stay on the platform, the more likely you are to spend money. You have no idea how much your attention is worth. This is a gold mine for businesses, and I personally have made a fortune off of it myself. But now, and this is where you really need to pay attention, they've learned they can manipulate your behavior, change your mind, not just transactionally, not just to sell you something, but with things like propaganda. This is really no different than state-controlled television. The difference is it's worse because it's on social media and it's reaching the planet. Now, in that world, it's just another play from the playbook. These platforms, Facebook, YouTube, X, and TikTok, all figured out how to change the content that you see just enough that you don't think it's super crazy. I mean, you don't believe it, but it kind of caught your attention. You kept paying attention, and slowly but surely, it just keeps giving you that little touch, that little taste, that little bite, a tiny morsel of the other side, over and over, until it becomes normal. And then it starts feeding you even more of it. It gets a little wild and crazy, to test you. And the next thing that you know, you have completely changed your mind about a subject that you would have thought on the same platform over 5 years ago. Things you would never have been for all of a sudden don't sound all that bad. Politicians, situations, escalations, scandals. I don't quite seem as bad all of a sudden. Have you noticed? Remember when profanity on network TV was a complete no-no? Even the word damn. Well, that's all been thrown out the window. Do you know why? But what's super, super, super crazy bad is they're not just doing that anymore. Now, they're taking away the content that you agreed to see, the content that you came on the platform to see, the content that you followed and that you liked and that you chose to read, the politics, the leaders, the activities, the sports teams, etc. The sources you trusted, that you could let your guard down and not have to question its legitimacy, not have to vet it. So now you don't see much of anything that you actually signed up to see at all. You're seeking that information, but it hides. It makes it hard, if not impossible, for you to even find because it's serving you, not the other way around. Bottom line, you don't even know what has happened. They are slowly and slightly changing your mind to follow a slightly different path. And I think that you can probably name several things that they might be trying to keep you from getting too angry about. They are hiding the content that at one point kept us all balanced. All that you get now from these platforms is pretty much the opposite, or more of the same if you already believed and followed that content. The whole thing is pointed in one direction now. And I'm not going to say that it's political because it's not. Not anymore, at least. This is about power and greed and money. You are being trained to tolerate injustices all over the world. I am being trained to tolerate injustices all over the world. We are being trained to manage the crazy things happening in the world right now. All of it, slowly, lightly, ever so calculated so you don't lose it. You don't get angry. You don't protest. You don't even share out of fear anymore. They want you to learn how to tolerate change that is unethical, violent, illegal, sickening, untrue, and more. It is as if nothing is really all that bad. A platform of opinions has been turned into a wall of information only they get to choose. We're not really bombing a nation. That wasn't really an imminent threat. We aren't actually in a conflict. We don't really need a vote from Congress, and there's not really that much in those files. So now you know, because they've been teaching you, it's bad, but it's not as bad as you think it is. Now, everything's working out. It hasn't affected me has become our new mantra. And when I tell you these things that they are doing to Americans and the rest of the world, these things work. It's brilliant. It is genius. And I have seen it behind the scenes firsthand. And to be truthful, it's unreal. We are proof of it. You and me. We are proof. All the things happening in this country right now. Where is the outrage? Where are the protests? Where's the Women's March or the Me Too movement? Where's BLM? Where are any of the things that we Americans have done to demand democracy and our rights be protected? Have you wondered why no one's getting together? Now, we can talk about fatigue. We can talk about how people are just tired of it all and overwhelmed. It's been a really hard few years. Or maybe it's just so bad that people can only handle so much before they start to disassociate. They don't really clue in to how bad it really is, because if they did, it would be horrific to have to think about and manage and deal with and currently accept. The reason these societies fall, the reason these things happen over and over throughout the cycle of history, is because they separate us from each other. They intentionally break up community slowly and quietly. And then we can't communicate with each other, not effectively. The social media platforms aren't serving what we say. Nobody is seeing what we post. We can't say, this is not okay, and have someone say back, I agree. Hell, we don't even know our neighbors anymore. Have you noticed that? And then there's the fake news. Both sides, from all sides. We are not even giving information that is real information of what is really happening in the world. And if you do want to make it political, the news on a far-right MAGA Republican channel versus a lefty-loosey Democratic network are so significantly different that you wouldn't even believe we're watching news in the same country, talking about the same place, living in the same world. And that, my friends, is a problem. Now, you can walk through these days and kind of manage. Keep it in the rear view, if you will. It doesn't really affect me right now. But you need to be really paying attention, because this is critical. The things that are happening to us right now are not problems for our grandchildren to inherit. They are our problems. Now, in this moment, happening as we speak, and it's going to get a lot worse soon. And I mean very soon. A lot sooner than you think. It is critical. And I think that's what we should be talking about right now. It is hard to make content that is fun and funny and lighthearted in a world of complete chaos. And that's why I have decided that I'm going to talk about it. Because our voices and our power are needed more now than ever. They are suppressing our voices legally on every platform we consume. Speak up. In part 2 of this video, I discuss what we can do to get our word out, how we can be a part of the conversation again, and how just the recipient of something that maybe is true and maybe is not. Please subscribe, even if we don't agree. It's a great conversation to have in the comments. What do you think?